good morning, and welcome to this week's serving of Mickey Waffles, a Disney podcast where we discuss everything from parks, movies, and merchandise. My name is not Sinead.
It is not Sinead.
I was like, my name's Sinead.
I am also not Sinead.
My name is Kate.
I am Sinead.
There's Sinead.
There's Sinead. She's very far away. Can you hear us all right?
Just about.
Sinead, where are you?
I'm in London. Well, I would say London. I'm technically in Slough.
Is Slough just outside London?
It is. It's right beside Heathrow Airport.
Interesting.
It's where The Office was filmed, seemingly. People keep telling me, but I've never seen The Office, so here we are.
Oh, that's cool.
There we are.
Little fact.
So Sinead's off in London.
Yeah.
I'm Breff. I was in a previous episode once, and I am sitting in as mostly producer. So this will be a pretty regular episode of Mickey Waffles, except that occasionally I'm going to chime in. But for the most part, it's just going to be Sinead on the phone and Kate right here in the studio.
I love this studio. It's fantastic. I feel like I'm on the radio.
Isn't it a great studio?
Yeah, it's so good.
Look at all the money ICB Studios has.
Don't you love this spangly wallpaper?
Spangly wallpaper. Oh, yeah. It's a feature wall.
Yeah.
It's cute. I like it.
Thank you.
Okay, great, cool. So, this week, what are we talking about this week, Sinead?
I mean, we're talking about what every Disney fan, content creator, everything else is talking about. The wonderful D23, which took place this past weekend.
Yeah, and it was a lot. There was a lot.
Yeah, it was, what is it they call it? The Epic Fan Meet or the Epic Fan Event or something along those lines.
It's crazy. It's absolutely mental. Like, I didn't actually realize that many people like cosplayed and did really high level costumes for it. I was like, this is amazing. And the massive costume contest they have. And everyone has like an absolute ball.
I know. It's insane. So just for our own sakes and for you guys, so that we're not recording and making you listen to a 17-hour episode, we are going to split it up. So this week we'll focus on the Parks and Resorts panel, and next week we'll talk about all the Disney Plus and movies and all that kind of good stuff. But we thought we'd focus on the parks because that's kind of, I mean, it's mainly where my heart lies anyways, and then okay, it's the same.
Yeah, because when I was writing like almost cliff notes for myself about the movies and Disney Plus and the parks, I was like, this is a lot. this is like 5 hours worth of content here, especially if we were like all going to talk about movies and all going to talk about Disney Plus. So it's a bit too much. So we've decided to just split it up into two. And so this week we're going to focus on the parks panel. But before we get into the parks panel,
let's get on with the news.
The news is extremely short, and the news is basically stuff that didn't happen at D23, but we still think it's important to talk about.
Exactly.
So, firstly, we're just going to chat a little bit about Rise of the Resistance, which is, which is the second ride in Galaxy's Edge that has not been opened in either California or Florida due to issues.
They're just trying to make it too damn good.
Yeah, I know, yeah. So, basically, we didn't really know much about Rise of the Resistance. At D23, they showed a little bit more artwork, basically, which, whatever. But literally today, as of recording, there was the media event for Batu in Florida. And I want to say our friends over the days, but they're not our friends.
I wish they were.
They're friends in my heart.
The good people of the Diz.
Yeah, them.
Yeah.
They were able to go to the media event, and they actually got to go into Rise of the Resistance, and they saw like the first room or the first and the second room of the ride, and they got a little bit more information about it, which is super exciting. So basically the idea of the ride is that you are part of the Resistance and you are basically being captured by the First Order. So all in all, there's 3 different types of transport, quote unquote transport, that you'll be in during the ride. So basically you're the Resistance and you're captured by the First Order, and then at the very end, in the last bit of transport, you are in basically an escape pod for the spaceship that you've been brought into, and in order to escape the spaceship you have to get to the escape pod and drop out into space. And so what your vehicle is basically moved into a simulator, and your simulator is then gonna weave you through space, which I guess, to dumb it down the most, is if you've ever been on Star Tours, kind of like that, but it's definitely going to be like way more high tech.
From what they said, it kind of made it sound like Star Tours and Tower of Terror had a baby.
Yeah, pretty much, because in order to drop out of the spaceship, there's going to be an actual drop, like a controlled like pull drop like Tower of Terror. I don't think it's going to be very big now, but it'll be enough to like shock the senses, and then you go zoom into the simulator. So it just seems like super exciting. They've said that it's still not ready for guests or cast to have a go on the ride yet. They said that they're definitely still working on it. The Imagineers are still the only ones that have been near it. It sounds really exciting. Also, one of the guys from the days you got to go said that one of the rooms was like absolutely huge, but the detail in it was amazing. So it sounds like it's going to be a really, really cool ride. You go in and there's like a secret area where you're able to board the ship at the very beginning, and the ship you board is beside Poe's X-Wing, which is like, yeah, I know. So like, oh yeah, we're in the Resistance now, buddy. We're friends with Poe. So
it sounds phenomenal.
I know,
like,
it sounds so exciting.
For if any of you guys do watch the days or listen to the days or whatever, it was Craig that got to go see it, and Craig, much like myself, is quite cynical generally, and
he was like a child at Christmas.
he used to work on Harry Potter and the Forbidden Journey, so his expectation for rides and stuff is generally pretty high, and he was not massively impressed, shall we say, or not impressed. I feel like that's too harsh a phrase. He was slightly underwhelmed by Smuggler's Run.
Oh yeah, I think a lot of people were kind of slightly underwhelmed.
Yeah, and to a degree, I kind of get it. I'm still desperate to go on it, but
same.
Listening to how pumped he is for Rise of the Resistance, I'm just like, get those rides open and get me to California as soon as possible. Have either of you guys watched the Galaxy's Edge trailer that got released at D23?
No,
not yet.
Right. So in this trailer, it goes through people's experience in it. So there's like different families and stuff like that. But they kind of show a bit of Rise of the Resistance.
Oh, okay.
And it kind of looks like the vehicle that it shows in it anyways. It kind of looks like if you've seen the ride vehicle for Dinosaur, where it's kind of like 4 across.
Oh, yeah.
Quite big. But from what I can see, and I was actually like showing this to my boss earlier and having a full conversation with Galaxy's Edge with my boss earlier. And it looks like you, in this vehicle, you kind of go through the ride. But at one point you go into a room and you are like driving in and around the seat of AT-ATs, like full scale AT-ATs. And
that sounds so cool.
It doesn't look like screens. They look real. They look massive, which I think they are, because I remember seeing when it was being built and Tim Tracker was like going and trying to like get construction updates. You could see them building massive AT-ATs.
I remember that.
So I'm like, is that in that building? Like, are these things real? And you're being like shot at from stormtroopers, and then you kind of go out of that room and into what I can only assume is probably the escape pod drop area.
Yeah. Like I actually,
but
you say it,
this looks insane.
Yeah, I remember him showing that like they were obviously AT-ATs. But that's even cooler. That means they had to build the AT-ATs first, and then they built the building around it.
That'll tell you how big this ride is. And they're like full scale. I think there's like 4 or 6, because they're in rows. There's either 4 or 6. I think it's 4 full scale AT-ATs that you like maneuver in and around while being shot at by stormtroopers.
I will wholeheartedly put aside my feelings about roller coasters and momentarily consider going on that just for that experience.
But see, I would totally understand if it was a similar sort of technology as Dinosaur and Indiana Jones, because they're 2 rides that people absolutely love. So
yeah,
it's
Dinosaur is a crowd favorite, like even though it's so
as
old.
As is Indiana Jones in Disneyland. Like, people love those, and the technology and stuff in it is so popular. But that's kind of what it looks like. So I actually don't think it's a roller coaster. I'm not even sure if there's a definite track. I could be totally wrong. You couldn't really see in that video, but it looks phenomenal. I'll send you guys a link to it after we're finished recording, because it looks insane.
Amazing. So that's Rise of the Resistance. It's opening in Florida first, and it's opening on December 5th, which in my head really isn't that far away. So that's Rise of the Resistance. No. And move on to our second piece of news, which flies us over to our home park.
Yeah, so ED92 broke the news at the end of last week that we're going to be getting a new Frozen season in Disneyland Paris, which is terribly exciting.
That's super exciting, especially since I feel like we have discussions about things and then literally the next week Disney release it.
They're listening.
Because we're like, I wonder what's going to happen here, and I wonder what's going to, and then literally the next week they're like, yeah, this is what's happening here. Shut up.
Yeah. So we haven't really got a whole lot. We got a visual, and it's Sleeping Beauty's Castle in Disneyland Paris with a snowflake over it, and it just says Frozen Celebration 11th of January till the 3rd of May. And the only other information we have is that ED92 tweeted, this new 4-month season at Disneyland Park will feature special entertainment with a new float and more surprises, details to be released soon. Which can probably only mean it'll be released the second we stop recording, because that's what happened last week.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds exciting, but I don't know how far they can take it. But I said the exact same thing about Lion King and Jungle Festival, and that's been blown out of the water.
Yeah, because we were so cynical about this. We were like, what is this going to be? And honestly, I'm really annoyed that I don't get to see it because it looks amazing.
Lion King and the Jungle Book or Frozen?
Yeah, that whole season looks amazing.
Oh, Lion King, the Jungle Book. Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. I was Frozen. I was like, do you really want to go see Frozen?
Well, it's on during March, so myself and Bethany will get to see whatever it is.
Yeah,
we'll be there and we'll let you guys know what it's like.
And I'm real excited by that.
Ding.
There's snowflakes around Breffney's head.
Always.
Okay, so one other thing that happened DLP side, which didn't happen at D23, was we got even more news about the new, I'm gonna say like overlay extension that's happening to Tower of Terror in Disneyland Paris. So straight from DLP Inside Ears, we have prepared to face 3 hair-raising new experiences. Once past the familiar corridors of the hotel, plunging directly into the disturbing atmosphere of a Twilight Zone episode. Guests of the Hollywood Tower Hotel will embark in one of 3 elevator shafts to live new stories, embellished with updated sound and visual effects, all punctuated by new and more impressive drop sequences than ever before. How exciting. Every scenario specific to each of the 3 elevator shafts will drop the guests into the heart of a different story and will feature an iconic character already present in the attraction. More information early September. Note, the work will take place until 20th of September without impacting the opening of the attraction. So I presume they're going to close. That's because they have 3 lifts and they can close one lift, work on it, and use the other 2 lifts. So I'd say queue times might go up, but the ride will still be there.
The thing I'm confused about, or I would wonder how it would work. So each of the different lift shafts has a different part of the story.
I think it's just 3 different stories.
But either way, if you want to see it all, you have to go into each of the different lift shafts.
That's what I was thinking. I was like,
are you going to get a queue where it's like, oh, well, sorry, I've done this one before, I wanted to only do this one, and no, is that not going to get really messy?
Yeah, I presume what's going to happen is, I presume they're going to take it the same way they take it when you want the front or the back of a certain ride. So if it's quiet enough and they can let you, they'll be like, yeah, sure, head on to lift number 3. But if it's busy, they'll be like, really sorry, it's too busy, you're just going to have to go to the next lift available. So I presume it's just going to have to run like that. But my second question on top of that is, at the moment, when it's a quiet day in the park, they don't open all 3 lifts. They work out of 1 or 2 lifts.
Yeah.
So also technically there's 6 lifts. There's 6 ride vehicles altogether, because you can go in on the ground floor directly when you come out of the library, or you can go a bunch of stairs and there's ride vehicle entrances there as well. So I actually think they have 6 ride vehicles.
Yeah, I think they're stacked, aren't they?
Yeah. So I'm like, are they gonna have, because they're doing 3 stories and 3 lifts, are they gonna have 3 lifts open all the time? That means they're gonna that means they have to employ more cast members than usual if it's like a light day. So we'll see how that goes. Like, we'll be there when it happens.
Literally
twice, 3 times.
We're there 2 days after.
So yeah, so we'll definitely see what it's like. Either way, I'm really excited about it. I'm also really excited to see what the balance between French and English is.
Yeah.
But other than that, that's everything to Tower of Terror. One person I saw on Twitter was asking ED92, are they not calling it the Twilight Zone anymore? And ED92 were like, yes, they are. I don't know why you don't think they're not.
We're not getting Mission Breakout just yet, lads. Calm down.
But then someone else replied also and was like, that means that every single Tower of Terror in every single different park has a completely different story now. Because, so you've got Mission Breakout, then you've got the original, you've got us with our 3 different stories, and then you've got Mystic Manor.
I think that's really cool.
Interesting.
Yeah, I should have written down their Twitter name. I'm really sorry if you listen to the podcast. You probably don't, but if you do, I really appreciate your comment.
Interesting.
So yeah, that's everything from the home parks.
Woo!
Home parks. That's everything for like the news. Except for one thing, Sinead.
What's that, Kate?
You know what today is?
Today's Tuesday.
And you know what that means. Russell, Doug, and Carl from Up.
Again! We only had those a few weeks ago, I feel.
That's what I was thinking. When I saw it on Twitter, I was like, am I looking at the right day? Because they were definitely a few weeks ago, right?
It was when was it in August or July? It was whenever the 10-year anniversary of Up was. We had them on the American release of that day.
Oh, I remember that, yeah.
But it's definitely been since we've been doing the podcast, which has been a couple of months. But it hasn't been long since we've had them, so it seems a bit weird.
Yeah, and also...
But it was also at a weird time.
Yeah, by the looks of it from E22, because I went looking for it at 5:30 our time, which would have been 6:30 French time. So the parade would have been well done. And so I was looking for something that was like pretty close to like less than an hour ago or something. And I had to scroll down to 4 hours ago to find it. So it must have happened extremely early again. And there's a cast member I used to work with in the store who was in Disneyland Paris at the time. And she put it up on her Instagram story. And so I messaged her and was like, oh my God, you were at the Guest Star Tuesday. Can I ask you, did you know it was going to happen? Did you just happen upon it? And basically she said she was just walking down the street and then boom, characters.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I know.
Ooh, I don't like that they've moved it.
No, neither do I. What are we going to do? Like, this is unplanned.
Maybe they had an early flight to catch.
Both weeks?
Yes.
I'm just having a browse on Twitter, and someone replied to E22 and was like, is Tuesday's Guest Star Tuesday always this early? And someone replied and was like, it was at 1 p.m. last week and I missed it. So clearly they didn't tell people, or they didn't communicate it well, which, if I'm honest, is not surprising.
Oh no, not with DLP. They play by their own rules.
Yeah, but it might be worth keeping an eye over the next few weeks and seeing if this becomes a trend, and if it's always, because it was at 1 p.m. last week as well. So if 1 p.m. is the new time, we'll just have to kind of adjust our plans when we're there, because hopefully we have some good characters.
Here's hoping for the sake of everyone else on the trip. Okay, so that's it for the news.
We're going to move on to some of the news that was released for D23. I say some of the news. We're going to go through all the park news, as we've already said.
We're going to go through everything.
Yeah, I know. The first thing that was announced by Bob Chapek, which some people had some thoughts about Bob Chapek this weekend, but sure, we'll get on to that in another episode. So Disneyland Park in California is getting an all-new parade called Magic Happens.
Featuring Todrick Hall.
I love Todrick Hall.
Yeah, I told Breff, I was like, oh, it's Todrick Hall. And Breff was like, yes, where do I know that name from?
Drag Race. I love Todrick Hall. And do you know who was so pleased for Todrick Hall? More so than anybody else online?
Oh, Nina West?
Nina fucking West. Nina West was at D23 and she was living her best life.
Proper
but
order.
Anyway, so yeah, now in the article that Disney Parks blog has put up, they say spring 2020, but Todrick has said, I'll see you in Disneyland in January 2020. So it's coming like bang. I would say that is starting out straight from Christmas.
Yeah, you think so?
So from what he said anyways, it looks likely. So what they said is, debuting in spring 2020, the all-new Extraordinary Magic Happens parade will travel down Main Street, USA in Disneyland Park, celebrating awe-inspiring moments of magic, both large and small, that are at the heart of so many Disney stories. Magic Happens reminds us that we don't need wings to fly. Shooting stars were made to wish upon, and magic doesn't stop at midnight. This is like intense.
Disgustingly corny.
That is
Hallmark code. They want their promos back. That's rough.
That's a lot.
That's like,
we've had some visuals for it.
Cute.
So the first one I suppose we could start with is they've released a picture of Mickey Mouse in this like Technicolor sorcerer outfit, which I'm kind of all for.
Yes.
It's like super fancy. It looks like something Breff would really like a suit out of.
I haven't seen the photo, but I will report back next week.
Okay. So the first float that they announced is a Moana float, and this is badass. This Moana float is insane. It's got a big, massive wave. She's on her boat. She's wayfinding. She's living her best life. And it's beautiful. I'm so excited to see how they pull this off in person because the concept art is insane.
Yeah, it's really exciting. It just reminds me of the last time we saw concept art for a parade, which was Stars on Parade in Disneyland Paris. And I remember when that concept art was released, everyone was like, wow. So I think they're definitely going to do just as amazing job as they did.
Absolutely. The next float is we're getting a Coco float. And I'm so freaking pleased. I love Coco. So you have Lil Miguel with his little guitar in kind of like a gazebo thing, and then you have Dante and the other thing that I can never remember its name, the like lion cat thing, running back across the bridge.
Yeah, Ala Libre.
That's it.
Yeah.
And then up on the stage you have Ernesto and Mami Melda, and they are singing and dancing away, and this float looks beautiful. It's covered in sugar skulls, and it makes me so happy.
So we've got Moana, Coco, and then there's one more.
Yeah, we have a Sleeping Beauty float, which is really interesting. A lot of people have kind of, because I think we get a lot of like the standard princess floats. So I think a lot of people are like, yeah, cool, whatever. But this float is very interesting. So on the front of it, you've got Flora, Fauna, Merryweather. I think they might turn around, but I could be wrong.
Okay.
But the interesting bit is if you look at Aurora and Prince Philip, her dress is changing colour.
Yeah, and in the description it also states that her dress is going to change colour from pink to blue.
Which I think everyone has seen that like GIF or that video where someone digitally did it, and I think Disney were like, okay, we need to do the damn
yes,
thing.
we got to do that.
And it looks insane. So I think it's nice that Sleeping Beauty has like a full theatrical float. I mean, it is her park, it is her castle, so why the heck not?
It is, yeah. So the float, I think the float's officially called Celebrating Disney Stories. So I think there's someone else on the back as well, but I don't know who it is. Frankly, I don't care who it is because Aurora's colour changing dress is going to be the whole show.
Literally everything. It's so fantastic. But yes, this looks phenomenal. I hope that they don't, like, I don't see why they would if they're building all these new floats. I just hope that it's still running when me and Breff go, because I'm very excited to see it.
Oh, I have a feeling it's going to run for a long, long time.
Yeah, it'll be like Stars on Parade. So through the 25th anniversary, and here we still are.
And I absolutely need to see that dress.
Yeah. I think we all do. So yeah, that's oh, sorry, go on.
If you want to check out the songs, they did do a little like performance of it, which I'm sure you can find videos of on YouTube. The Diz posted a video for literally every half a second that happened at D23. But if you just type in Magic Happens Parade, you'll get to hear the song that Todrick Hall has written for it, and it is super cute. I like it a lot.
Apparently people were like, yeah, I don't really know about the song. And everyone was like, yeah, but close your eyes and imagine you're at a parade. Now hear the song. And they were like, oh, yeah. Like, exactly. You can't listen to it out of context. It won't make any sense.
Exactly. If you're anyone that's not me and you're listening to Boo to You out of context, you're going to be like, kill me now. Yeah. So you watch it with that little Halloween parade and it was the best damn thing you've ever heard.
Amazing. So moving on from Magic Happens, which is one of many things to talk about, we are moving on to the Avengers, I was going to say Avengers Assemble, but it's not. It's called Avengers Campus, which is the basically Avengers area that's going to be coming to Disneyland Resort, Disneyland Paris, and TDL, Tokyo Disneyland?
Yes.
Ah, excellent. So, got Avengers Campus in Disneyland Resort, which is going to have the Spider-Man ride with Webb, which is Worldwide Engineering Brigade.
Like, see what you did there, lad.
Brigade. Like, I feel like they were like, okay, we need to think of an acronym for Webb.
We need anything.
We were like, okay, so we were like, okay, engineering, yeah, okay, so like worldwide, and they were like, Brigade. What does that even mean? Like, so basically, that's the Spider-Man ride that's going to be coming to, I believe it's the same Spider-Man ride that's going to be in all three of them, and it's the Spider-Man ride that's going to be where Armageddon used to be in Disneyland Paris.
Yeah, which is a big old crane in there right now doing stuff.
Yeah, E22 had a delightful time lapse of the crane picking stuff up and putting it back down again.
Yeah.
So that's the main
good
ride.
content.
Oh yeah, I watched it. I was like, yes, progress. So basically, you, from what they've said, like, you're basically like a web slinger, and you're going to be basically moving with webs following Spider-Man. The ride vehicle is sort of like a tram trailer almost, but you're facing to the side, you're not facing forward. And then I think basically your whole thing's just going to move and like fly with the webs. I'm doing a great hand movement here to explain what I mean, but no one's going to be able to see that.
I appreciate it.
I mean, I can't, but you're still painting a picture for me, so it's all good.
Great. So that's basically what the Spider-Man ride is about. And then also with the Avengers Campus, we're getting Pym's Test Kitchen, which is the restaurant. And from what I can tell, it's basically the Remy restaurant, the Ratatouille restaurant that's in Remy's Bistro, that's in Disneyland Paris. It's basically that, but with Pym instead. So basically, you're going to be shrunk down to the size of an ant and dine that way.
I assume this is not going to DLP because how many?
No, from what I could
see,
down
restaurants does one park need?
No, from what I could see, Pym's definitely isn't going into Disneyland Paris, because when they talked about Avengers in Disneyland Paris, they only talked about Spider-Man and Hotel New York. But when they talked about Disneyland Resort with it, they talked about the restaurant and Spider-Man. So I don't think we're getting the restaurant, which is good, because we don't need that restaurant. We need a different restaurant. But I'm confused because Avengers Campus is basically where all the Avengers come together to basically hang out. But I thought that the Marvel area in Disneyland Paris was going to be like Tony Stark back in like the 60s, or Tony Stark's dad in the 60s. So like these are conflicting stories. Yeah,
and I mean from what I could see online anyways, from E22 and some other kind of DLP people who were at D23 covering it, DLP was very much overlooked. So it was kind of what people could make of the announcements and how they felt like it might relate to DLP. So I'm not too sure because I don't think they really mentioned, because I think the Iron Man ride that's going into DLP, like I don't think that's going into California, and I think the main focus of the announcement was California.
Yeah.
So I don't know whether it is that will be different, or maybe it's supposed to be like they're slightly different areas, but they're right beside each other. I don't really know. It wasn't really clear, and there really wasn't. Considering this is the first kind of D23 since DLP is fully owned by Disney, I was kind of hoping for some more announcements to do with it.
Yeah, I was extremely disappointed, considering DLP was your only park to profit in your last quarter.
Yeah.
I would have assumed that you were going to talk more about it.
Exactly.
And like stuff to come. And I just think it's a bit ridiculous that we literally got 2 pieces of news, and it's news that we already knew was happening. We just got more concept art.
Yeah.
Frankly, I'm annoyed.
That's what a lot of the news was. There was, because I was chatting to Breff about it last night, because I don't think you quite realised the scale of D23. Until I was sending you over 10 million articles. But like when you look at the list, a lot of it was stuff that we already knew about, had already heard about, and it was just kind of, here's a video of it, or here's some new concept art for it, or here's a name for it. So it was kind of, I don't know, I find it hilarious that Disney have found a way to make people spend thousands to find out about news that they pretty much already knew anyway. It's the Disney way, I suppose.
If there's a way to make money, they will find it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so that is the Avengers Campus.
So the next thing we had announced were some updates, or as they put it, new details unveiled for Mickey and Minnie's Runaway roller coaster. So again, stuff we already know about, but here's some extra information. What did I say? Did I say railroad?
You said Runaway roller coaster.
Oh, it's not a roller coaster.
I was like, it's not a roller coaster.
It's not a roller coaster. I'm terribly sorry. So they released some concept art for the queue, and we got to see the train as well. But again, it's a lot of stuff we already knew. So, but they have said that at Hollywood Studios, Disney Imagineers are getting ready to open next year.
Ooh.
So, as far as I'm aware, I don't think it's coming in California until 2022. So
yeah, long time.
It's quite delayed there.
Yeah,
so but it's in the El Capitan theater.
It's so exciting because it's going into Toontown, and they're making the El Capitan, and I just enjoy the pun greatly. And a lot of people have said that it's basically going to save Toontown, because Toontown looks like it could easily be demolished at any point in time. Because it's not
I do love Toontown. It's very cute.
It's not a great big hitter with a lot of guests. So
I mean, it's great for like kids and stuff, because the only real ride that's in Toontown is the Roger Rabbit one.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it's only really people of like our generation that know Who Framed Roger Rabbit, because it was only really big when we were kids.
Mm-hmm.
And the rest of it is kind of just meet and greets and walk around areas, which are great, but there isn't really any shops, so it's not revenue generating, and it isn't really like, there's no ride, so it's not like a real people eater of an area. So I can understand why people would think that, because generally if it's not making the money and it's not taking people out of just the general park area for extended periods of time, Disney isn't really all that interested. So
yeah, so the El Capitan is basically coming to town to save Toontown.
Yeah.
Which is super exciting.
But I mean, I'm excited to go on it. I think it was Tim Tracker was having a look at the ride vehicle, and it does look like they have kind of repurposed the Great Movie Ride vehicles, which is cool. I mean, I like the Great Movie Ride vehicles, and it would make sense that it would kind of be in a similar layout-ish, because they obviously didn't demolish the whole building.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm intrigued to see what it looks like. And that's pretty much all about that.
Yeah, I was like, maybe I have another point, but I don't. That's pretty much it. They basically just showed us more artwork, and they showed us the costumes that the cast are going to wear, which are pretty cute.
Yeah, they were
like,
cute.
Little waistcoats, a lime green waistcoat, match your eyes. But,
it's very bright.
Yeah, but apart from that and the repurposed Great Movie Ride vehicles, that's pretty much all they said. They didn't really say anything else.
Yeah, again, more concept art, more details, not new news.
No, I'm moving on to more not new news. Over in the Asian parks, they talked about the Zootopia land that's coming to Shanghai. They basically just released more concept art for it, which was just another street in Zootopia, and that was it. And Nick Wilde and Judy Hopps were just there chatting to people, and I was like, cool, great. So Zootopia's, I guess it's going to look really cool. The only thing I learned from the little article that was written about it is that, because I was wondering myself why the Zootopia land specifically was going into Shanghai, and it turns out that Zootopia broke the box office record in China and became the country's #1 animated feature film in all of history.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. So Zootopia was huge in China.
I mean, it's really good.
Yeah, but you would have thought that there
Wow.
was other animated feature films in China and Asia specifically that would do
Yeah.
better than that.
Yeah, definitely.
But
That's
yeah.
very curious.
So Zootopia was the
That's
number
really
one
interesting.
animated feature film ever in history, and it broke China's box office records.
Damn.
Yeah, so I guess that's why they're putting Zootopia in Shanghai rather than anywhere else. And I guess it's still going to be a
Wow.
really cool land, but we know
Absolutely.
nothing else about it. And that's it
No.
for Shanghai.
How exciting.
Yeah, moving on to Hong Kong, Sinead.
Yeah, so Hong Kong Disneyland transformation continues. Sorry, no, I've said that entirely wrong.
What?
The the Hong Kong Disneyland transformation includes Castle of Magical Dreams and a new Frozen area, including a Frozen Ever After attraction.
Yeah, so there's going to be Frozen Ever After and Wandering Oaken's Sliding Sleighs.
Yeah, which sounds like it's going to be great. The new castle looks absolutely stunning.
It looks
So it's got
sensational, if you will.
Yeah, so it kind of looks like they're taking a book out of they're taking a leaf out of
They're taking a book out of Shanghai.
they're taking a
Sorry
leaf
about
out of
that.
they're taking a leaf out of the Shanghai book by kind of creating a castle based around all of the princesses rather than just one, because Hong Kong did used to have a carbon copy of the Disneyland Resort castle. So
Uh-huh.
I like that they're kind of tweaking it now so that each of the parks is a slightly different one. I wonder if they're going to change Tokyo, because Tokyo is kind of a carbon copy of Florida. So I wonder if that might get a facelift of some description. But
Possibly, but I think Tokyo might stay the same purely for the fact that they don't own majority there.
yeah,
And I don't think the Brew Group would give a shit.
well,
I think they're like, we're making
There is
plenty
that.
enough money. I don't think we need to change anything.
yeah, there is that. But I think the thing that most people were excited for is the new Frozen area. So the new Frozen area will feature a one-of-a-kind coaster called Wandering Oaken Sliding Sleighs that will take us on a winding journey through Arendelle even.
Erndale.
Each
Hey, gonna get
experience
in
on-
Erndale?
Each experience on Wandering Oaken Sliding Sleighs begins when you visit Oaken's famous door. Then Olaf and Sven pull your sled to the top of the lift before sending you on your way. Sounds very exciting. And then Frozen Ever After, which is in Epcot in the Norway Pavilion, will also be making its way over there. I wonder if some of this is what we're going to get in Paris.
I was thinking the same thing. I was like, ooh, I wonder if we get Oaken Sliding Sleighs. That would be so fun.
Yeah, it sounds like that would be super fun, especially because I mean, I don't know what Hong Kong's weather is like, but I would imagine
My
that
guess
Paris
is erratic.
I would imagine that Paris may be the only kind of like frozen area that might actually ever get snow, which would be very exciting.
Yeah, I'd say
You know what I mean?
I'd say it rains a lot in Hong Kong, but I don't think they get snow. Now
Whereas,
we could just be completely stupid and it turns out that Hong Kong gets snow for like 4 months a year.
yeah, but I think that'll look really cool. So hopefully they're kind of testing it out. They do tend to, as we said kind of previously, they are kind of starting to open something in one park, carbon copy it to another. So it wouldn't surprise me if that was the case. But both of the rides, I mean, I haven't been on Frozen Ever After. It opened after I'd been to Walt Disney World. It looks super fun. And I'm always down to try a new Disney coaster. So why the hell not?
The last time it snowed in Hong Kong was 1967 or 1975. No, it's last snowed in 1967 and the last coldest day was in 1975. So I think they're good for snow.
DLP is going to be the only frozen area with some snow, which will be real cute.
Yeah, and also just quickly to hop back to the Castle of Magical Dreams, there's going to be a Bippity Boppity boutique inside the castle.
Oh, how exciting.
Yeah, so like imagine being a little girl and hopping into the Bippity Boppity boutique inside the castle.
That will be super cute.
Yeah, so this is some happy news to come out of Hong Kong.
Yay!
Then we're gonna hop quickly back to Paris and we're gonna talk about Hotel New York, the Art of Marvel Hotel. So again,
That's new information.
What? It's turning into the Art of Marvel? Breff, did you know?
I did not know this.
Stop it. So, Hotel New York, the Art of Marvel, as everybody knows, is opening next year with a facelift of Marvel art. We did get some artwork of the rooms. And I was telling Breff earlier on that the way the sentence is phrased, I can't tell if all the rooms are just Spider-Man or if there are loads of Avengers and they just said featuring Spider-Man is one of them.
They said a couple months ago that each floor is going to be themed to a different Avengers.
Oh, excellent. Super. The article was awfully misleading.
Damn you, Disney Parks.
I know, right? So it seems sadly fitting that the one character they're confirming that will be in the hotel is Spider-Man.
Yeah.
With the sad current state of Spider-Man within the MCU, but we won't get into it because I'll cry.
We'll talk about that next week.
Yeah, so they've confirmed that Spider-Man will be one of the themes in the rooms. I have to say the room's like extremely modern and very I don't really know what the word is.
I know how to describe it because I was looking at this and I was like, it's like the room is Disney bounding.
Oh my god, that's exactly what it's like.
Right?
Yeah,
because
it's like the room's Disney bounding as Spider-Man.
Yeah, it's not like if you go into, say, for instance, the pirate room in, is it Port Orleans or whichever of, I think it's actually Caribbean, the Caribbean Resort in Walt Disney World. There's like a pirate themed room and it's like super piratey. Whereas this is kind of like subtle. It's like real, like it's Spider-Man, but it's real subtle Spider-Man. It's not like in your face. So it looks like the room is Disney bending as his favorite Avenger.
Yeah, it looks super cute anyway.
Yeah.
But again, that was all we got about the hotel.
Yeah. Again, more pictures for information we already knew.
Yeah, and less like actual information and just more pictures.
Yeah. So this actually was new information, kind of. So the Cirque du Soleil show that takes place in Disney Springs and Walt Disney World closed, I think, at the end of 2017.
Like
so
10
it's actually
years
closed.
ago in my mind.
It closed ages ago, and everyone, like, people have just been waiting to find out what the heck they're going to re-announce. So tickets are now on sale for the new Cirque du Soleil show set to premiere in Disney Springs in spring 2020.
March 2020.
And it is in collaboration with Walt Disney Animation, Walt Disney Imagineering, and then obviously Cirque du Soleil as well. So it starts on April 17th. There are previews for that, but the show will celebrate the art of animation through the magic of storytelling in a way that only Cirque du Soleil can deliver, while paying homage to the craftsmanship that makes Disney animation special and unique. Guests will be delighted and transported into the world of animation through original acrobatic performances, dazzling choreography, musical masterpieces, and whimsical characters, bringing our Disney stories and characters to life in an unforgettable way. This sounds phenomenal, and I would absolutely love to go to it.
I think it's the only way I'd ever go to a Cirque du Soleil show. I don't think
How come?
I just don't have any interest in Cirque du Soleil at all.
I find it fascinating.
It just seems so airy-fairy to me. And like, I understand that everyone's extremely talented, but I just think that me watching it would just be like, yeah, okay. Boy.
See, I find gymnastics and ballet and stuff like absolutely like fascinating. So this is kind of a combination of the two, and slapping a big Disney logo on top of that, I'm like, yes, please, take my money.
Yeah, so I think they were saying that like they're pretty much in for a winner because they now have Disney characters on board with Cirque du Soleil. So I think it's going to do really, really well. But also, I think it might help with slightly younger guests going to Cirque du Soleil. I'm sure there's definitely an age requirement to go to Cirque du Soleil because you don't want like little tiny kids there. But I'd say from like ages 5 up, between 5 and like early teens, I'd say be pretty bored by a Cirque du Soleil show unless you're like real into gymnastics. But I think putting Disney characters onto it is just another cool thing that you get to do when you're on holidays.
Absolutely.
So yeah, that was actually some new news. That was actually really exciting. That was something completely announced. Moving on to more new news, which was actually something that we have learnt more about, is Epcot. Yep,
and everything new that is happening at Epcot.
So from what I can tell, apart from World Showcase, everything is being ripped out and started again. So we're getting four brand new neighborhoods. We're getting 4 neighborhoods to Epcot. So we currently have World Showcase, which is where all the tiny countries live. Then we're going to get World Celebration, which is going to have Dreamers Point. And Dreamers Point is where they're going to hold new festivals. So it's going to be like a festival pavilion within World Celebration. And it's like a tiered pavilion as well. So they're able to, so like they can fit all of the, like when they say festivals, I'm wondering, are they going to move the booths from World Showcase into World Celebration? Or, because that doesn't seem any fun.
I mean, maybe though, because like for all the pavilions that are in World Showcase, when it comes to like food and wine and flower and garden and everything else that they bring out the food booths for, each of those countries that has their own pavilion also has a booth.
Yeah. Oh, true. So all the booths could just go, oh yeah, that may, okay, yeah, fair. So yeah, so there's Dreamers Point, and Dreamers Point basically, from what I can tell, is going to be like the highest point in Epcot. So you're going to be able to look out over the lake. So then we also have World Nature, which is where Disney and nature become one. That is my own tagline. Just FYI.
Oh.
And that
Disney, hit her up.
And that is where the new Moana inspired attraction is going to be held.
Yeah.
I can't remember if it has a name. It's something to do with water anyway. So basically, from what we've seen and what we've been told, it's an attraction inspired by Moana, where you basically control water, and that's pretty much all they've said. So it's going to be like a walkthrough attraction, and I guess it's just going to be like interactive spots with water features, which I guess is quite cool.
I wonder if it's going to be something to do with your magic band, like you move your
like a tapu
arm
tapu
a certain way, kind of. But I wonder if it's going to be kind of be like a hybrid between that and like the RFID wands that you can get in the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, where you kind of move it in a certain way and something will happen. I wonder if that's what it'll be like. You have to do certain movements with your hands.
Yeah, that would be
with your magic band on, and then something will happen.
That's going to be really interesting from a technical point of view, because the way the wands work in Universal is that there's the lights, but then there's also like a little reflective bit almost at the end of the wand, and the lights track the reflective bit at the end of the wand, and that's how it knows that you've done the action. So how they'll do that with magic bands, I don't know.
No, this is just me guessing.
No, exactly. Like... Yeah, but if they were to do because it's perfectly valid points that if it is like a hand motion thing, like with Moana, I'm thinking. Do you know what I have in my head is when Doctor Strange opens a portal? I have that in my head where he puts like one hand out and like draws it in a circle with his other hand. Yeah. No, Breff, not like that. Breff doing something that I didn't.
I'm Doctor Strange.
That I didn't want at all. So yes, there's the Moana inspired water feature, but yeah, that's really exciting. It's very interesting to see what they're going to do and what ideas they have for it. And then moving on to the final world is World Discovery, where the Guardians of the Galaxy ride is going to be held. It's called Guardians of the Galaxy something Rewind, and I always forget the middle word. I want to say Mission Rewind, but I don't think that's what it is.
I think it is.
Is it called Mission Rewind? I
could be totally wrong.
Like, are they just expanding the like Guardians of the Galaxy universe to go like Mission Breakout, Mission Rewind?
Oh, hold on. Cosmic Rewind.
Cosmic Rewind. Yeah, so it's Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind. We weren't really told much about Guardians of the Galaxy, except that there's a lot of music involved, I think is basically what I remember from it, and that was pretty much it. It's a huge show building, but we knew this. So that's the Guardians of the Galaxy ride. And in World Discovery will also be the new space restaurant called Space 220, and it's called Space 220 because that's the distance you're going to be above the Earth when you're in the restaurant.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's very exciting. They said that the restaurant is... Oh no, we already talked about I was going to say about all the restaurant stuff, but we already know about that. So that's the Space 220 restaurant. Then there's also going to be the Play Pavilion within Epcot, which... Yeah. I'm not really sure again what it's going to be like an interactive, family-friendly fun zone almost. But the one thing I took away from it is that there's going to be like an attraction walkthrough thing where you're going to have a water balloon fight with Huey, Dewey, Louie and Webby from DuckTales.
And I'm all for that. That sounds like great crack.
That's super exciting, and it's really the only thing I took from the Play Pavilion.
There's something to do. I'm away for work, as we spoke about previously, so there's only so much I could read into it. There's something to do with Edna Mode as well, I think, but I could be making that up. But I think there's something to do with Edna Mode.
Yeah, no, I think you're right as well. I'm not 100. I think the Play Pavilion is something that we're going to have to wait and see exactly what's going to be happening, because I think a lot of what's happening with Epcot is slightly in the air, if you will.
Yeah.
Because I don't think they've 100% confirmed everything that's going to be happening. So they're the neighborhoods. Also, Epcot is going to get a whole brand new signature anthem because it's basically being reborn. So why not? Then moving on to other new sort of things that we found out that aren't basically the whole reimagining of Epcot. So the delightful Dick Van Dyke came out onto stage and announced to everybody that there is going to be a Mary Poppins. It's called Mary Poppins in Cherry Tree Lane that will be connected to the UK pavilion.
And I can't wait.
I know, it looks so cute.
The only thing that I've seen online, which makes me a little apprehensive, is someone, I think, compared the wording of this Mary Poppins attraction to the wording of when Enchanted Tales The Spell was announced. And seemingly they're very similar. So a lot of people are kind of concerned that this won't actually be a ride and that this will kind of be like an enhanced meet and greet.
Yeah, I definitely don't think it's a ride. I think it's more of like a, what's the word? Immersive like an immersive thing, that you're just
Yeah.
going to be able to stand in Cherry Tree Lane. I think that's the point. It definitely doesn't sound like a ride.
Yeah. So I wonder if it will kind of be, correctly, just to explain, Enchanted Tales of Belle is that you go in and you kind of go through the story of how Belle and the Beast fell in love and the story of Beauty and the Beast. And like there's crowd participation and people from the crowd play different characters and stuff like that. And then you can meet Belle at the end of it.
Okay.
So a lot of people think it might be kind of similar, which would make sense because, again, Mary Poppins is a character that like it kind of surrounds a book. Do you know what I mean? Like she was originally a story from a book. So I wonder if that is the realm that they're going to take it, but I don't know.
What this reminds me of a little bit is, you know, those stories from when Mary Poppins Returns came out about the cast being completely shielded from everything production design-wise until they were brought onto Cherry Tree Lane?
Yes.
Yeah.
There seem to be echoes of that here because I'm going to guess from all those stories and the positive reception that came out of it, it's kind of like, hang on a minute, if that worked for the cast, we rebuilt this immersive world, where else would this work?
Yes.
Mm.
Yes, I like how you're thinking, Breffney.
Thank you.
Really out of the box there. We really need someone with not a Disney-centered mind of, oh my god, I love Mary Poppins.
I do love Mary Poppins, though. Like, absolutely flat out. I adored Mary Poppins Returns. But if I was going to do something involving Cherry Tree Lane, that's what I'd do.
Yeah, so anyway, I'm all for an immersive something like that. Like, it definitely doesn't read like a ride. And I don't think it would work as a ride because it's quite a cutesy-tootsy type of thing. And I don't think that would...
Cutesy-tootsy.
You heard me. So I would 100% just love to be able to walk down Cherry Tree Lane. Like, I'd be 100% for that.
Yeah, I agree.
Then we also have the Ratatouille ride, which we don't need to talk about because anyone who's been to Disneyland Paris has already been on the ride, and the artwork that was released for that is basically the exact same ride we have in Paris. So yeah, that's coming to the French Pavilion. Great. Then they released the new nighttime spectacular that's coming to the lake, and it's called Harmonious. So harmonious, but the US is capital because, you know, us.
America.
Oh yeah. So that's going to be replacing Epcot Forever. And then the final two things, apart from the other big thing, is that there'll be some more Circle Vision 360 films brought to the Canadian Pavilion and the Chinese Pavilion. So it's called...
Let me tell you.
Oh, sorry, go on, yeah.
Twitter was pissed about the Canada one changing.
Oh, because people love the Canada one, don't they?
Because even people that like are not even remotely Canadian are pissed that the Canada one is changing. Because seemingly, Canada is like the like MVP of the Epcot Circle Vision. So this did not get a good reception, I don't think.
So it's going to be called Canada Far and Wide, which is
lovely
shit name compared to what it already is.
Yeah,
that's an awful name.
Canada Far and Wide.
It's a big country.
And then the Chinese one is called Wondrous China. I mean, I guess it is kind of a wondrous country.
Great.
Whoop-de-doo. So yeah, they're the two new Circle Vision 360 ones that are coming to Epcot. And my final piece of Epcot news is that they are building a huge Walt Disney statue in the front of Epcot, where the big, massive slabs of rock used to be.
Which I actually think is kind of lovely because and it's something that from working at Disney and doing the inductions and that kind of thing, one of the things that you really kind of go through is the importance of Epcot and kind of what Walt's vision was for Epcot, because as much as like everyone will always associate Walt with Disneyland because obviously that was the park that he got to be in and develop and all that kind of stuff, but his heart really was in Epcot. Like Epcot was what he wanted to build the whole time.
Yeah.
So I think it's actually quite lovely that they're putting Walt into Epcot. I think it's really sweet.
Yeah, so basically I think the way they phrased it is that he's going to be able to basically look out onto Epcot and basically see his dream come alive.
Which is super cute.
That's very sweet.
Yeah, from some people's perspective, they've said that like what's currently happening to Epcot was not Walt's dream. But I'm like, sure, whatever, shut up.
I saw someone take, because like Epcot stands for the, oh my God, now I actually can't remember it.
It stands for, oh my God.
I cannot remember it.
Something of tomorrow.
No, it's Experimental Prototype Community of Tomorrow.
That's the one.
That's what it stands for.
Yeah.
And I saw someone take like the new Epcot logo and put IP into every park under it. And I was like, good job.
Yeah, Spaceship Earth. So Spaceship Earth is basically getting slightly remodeled. So it's still going to be just a choo-choo sort of deal, but it's getting basically like...
You've
So it's going to be...
Choo-choo.
Yeah, I know it's not choo-choo, but it's going to be the same like ride vehicles and everything. I think it's just getting a slight bit of an update.
Yeah. I think they're adding in some more bits because it's all about the evolution of technology and kind of how the world has progressed through like science and all that kind of stuff. So I think they're just kind of updating it a bit because I think it stops at like the 80s. So.
Which is the prime height of technology.
Oh, it's a freaking new thing.
So yeah, basically Epcot is just getting a massive overhaul to make it what Epcot should be, basically. Because when Epcot started, that's exactly what it was. But it 100% is not the future anymore. So, and it's gonna basically grow with the time, and the fact that they're building a whole new area specifically for festivals, they're building basically a festival pavilion, is really clever because the festivals are getting more and more popular. And I presume this has come from feedback of people, like when festivals are on, I'm gonna guess it's pretty disgusting down there. It's very busy, it's very hot, there's a lot of people very close together. I'd say from a logistical point of view, they have problems with the booths a lot, because I've seen a lot of times they're like, oh, they're currently not taking Magic Bands, or oh, they're currently not taking cash. So I think having one place where they can put all the festivals just makes everything a lot easier, and basically just moving with the times, which is great to see, because there's been a lot of people, you get a lot of people who are just layman Disney fans who aren't fucking crazy, and they go into Epcot and they're like, well, this is rank, like this is so old, why have I paid so much money to come to this park? But now
and I know.
Sorry, go on.
Yeah, and I know particularly with, I mean, we don't know if this is definitely happening, but from what we've kind of speculated that they're going to move the booths and stuff. I know there's a lot of, and it came up when they banned smoking in the park. There were a lot of people saying, well, what are you going to do about the people that just get hammered in Epcot? Because it is a thing. You go drinking around the world in Epcot, and people have t-shirts made for it. I've seen people with like magic bands to say it, stuff like that.
Yeah.
I wonder if maybe it's because of that, because I mean, when you go in on a regular, the like 3 days of the year that there aren't festivals going on in Epcot, there's only so many places you can stop and get drinks. During these festivals, there's like 30 odd places that you can stop and get a drink, and if you're drinking around the world, you're going to drink yourself into a coma. So if there are people getting that obnoxiously drunk, I can understand why families don't necessarily want to have to mix with people who are off their face just to be able to get to their frozen fast pass. I completely understand that,
especially because Americans can't hold their drink. So
no, for the most part, I have met some that can, but it's rare.
But I think the majority that go to drink their way around the world in Epcot don't tend to really know what they're doing.
It's because you can't. I don't think you can drink a consistent thing the whole way around. I don't think there's a consistent thing that's served in every pavilion.
Yeah, so you're doing a lot of mixing.
So, like, you go to Mexico, you're getting tequila. So, exactly. And if you start in not Mexico, you're doing it wrong. So yeah,
you already don't deserve to be there.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's everything for Epcot.
Exciting. The next thing is kind of a short announcement, because they kind of encompassed it as everything that's just been mentioned for Epcot is part of Walt Disney World's 50th. But it's like, all right, lads. But they have said that the celebration for the Walt Disney World Resort 50th anniversary. Now, it's really the 50th anniversary of Magic Kingdom, but they are kind of rolling it out across all 4 parks.
Because why lose a time to make more money, Sinead?
Exactly. So they said with amazing attraction openings, new entertainment, food and beverage, merchandise, and more. I wonder if there'll be like special fireworks for it, because Disneyland obviously got Disneyland Forever for the 60th. So I wonder if they're going to do that for the 50th. Or, bigger question, will it get a new parade? Will they change it Festival of Fantasy? I feel like that would start a bleeding riot, because Festival of Fantasy is like beloved.
I wonder, will they have 2 parades?
Maybe. Although Walt Disney World, well, I mean, they used to do Major Electrical Parade.
So maybe they'll have 3 parades.
Maybe.
All I'm thinking is I can 100% see them having a new parade, but then also not wanting to get rid of Festival of Fantasy.
Maybe they'll move Festival of Fantasy to another park.
Like Disneyland Paris.
You never know.
That would be so. Then after the 50th anniversary, we're going to talk about Disney's Genie service, which
sounds really interesting.
Is something that is new information, ladies and gentlemen. So the Disney Genie service will offer custom itineraries for guests of all ages. So basically what I can tell is what it is when you and me go to a Disney park and we plan out our day. And we're like,
it's what we do for Brecky.
Yeah, but it's like what
but you can pay Disney to do it for you.
Yeah, so basically what we do before we go on holidays to Disney is we pick our days and we're like, okay, in this day we want to get X, Y, and Z done. And we don't necessarily put a time on it if it's something that's not timed. And we are just like, okay, this is what we want to do, and then we figure out the most optimal way to do it while we're there on the day. But the Disney Genie app will do it for you. So you tell Genie what you want to do for the day, and Genie will present you with the most optimal day and how to best use your time, which is super exciting. and kind of scary if they're actually able to do this. My only worry would be if a lot of families have the same things they want to do.
Yeah.
And the genie is like, these are the best ways to do it. But the genie's told 10,000 families this is what they need to do. And those 10,000 families are like, okay, so we got to go to this at this time, this at this time, and this at this time.
Yeah.
And everyone turns up at the exact same time.
I think there are probably ways around that with things like machine learning and things like that.
Yeah,
so they're going to know
definitely,
that depending on how many requests that it gets at
Yeah.
any given time, there's going to be a certain amount of built-in AI with this platform, I would certainly hope.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
otherwise you'd have a massive bottleneck at various different rides or particular areas at any given time. But this is the lazy man's way to plan Disney. So understandably, I'm very enthusiastic about the idea of this service.
I'm just excited about it in general because the idea behind it is extremely interesting. It also makes me think of, do you know when, I don't know if you guys ever, probably not, you guys don't really take the bus, but when you put into Google Maps at the moment, I was going to say these days, when you use Google Maps these days and you ask it, like, I want to go here at a certain time, it will tell you how heavy the bus will be. How heavy the bus will be.
It weighs it for you.
It will tell you how many people are usually on the bus at that time. So it's got like a 3-people system, and it's like there'll be this many people, there'll be medium amount of people, or there'll be a lot of people on the bus.
Oh, I've seen that update actually.
Yeah, so I wonder, is that also like, can the genie change during the day? So like if there's a massive group of people in one place, it's like, actually you probably shouldn't go there now. We've decided you should go here instead, which is very close, and we've reorganized you to go to there at a later date.
I wonder, because do you remember a couple of years, was it last year? They put patents in or something like that it was like tracking people via their Magic Band and tracking where traffic was via Magic Band.
Which
so
is
I wonder if
Google
this is what this is for.
Yes, interesting. So they can be like, well, from the data of the last year, we've seen that this place is quite quiet at this time.
Yeah.
But then again, my head just zooms to, you can't just throw everyone to wherever it used to be quiet, because you'll just...
No, but that's what I mean. That's why they're using their Magic Band. In real time, they can track where people are.
Oh, fair. I get you now. Yeah.
So I'd say it will probably be a case that it will update itself throughout the day. And kind of in real time, because it'll be able to tell there's this volume of Magic Bands here. Do you know what I mean? Because I mean, I don't know anyone that necessarily goes to Disney without a Magic Band, and I mean, there's probably a margin of error for that. But I would guess that that's what that particular bit of technology was for, so that they can track footfall throughout the park, so they'll know what's busy where and stuff like that.
So yeah, anyway, whatever the price is for Disney Genie, we'll half it and we'll do it for you.
Oh, I'd love it.
We'll be your Disney Genie. So yeah, that's the Disney Genie service, and surprisingly some nice new information, and I'm very excited to see how it's going to work.
Exactly. Same. I did see a really funny tweet about it from Pete from the Diz, who was like, well, I mean, if you could get your current thing, My Disney Experience, to work, then maybe you might have a chance of getting this to work.
Ooh,
always so cynical. All the shades. The next thing that was announced was something that we kind of knew about, but now we actually have some like concrete information about, and that is the Star Wars Galactic Starcruiser, which sounds insane. Yeah. Absolutely insane. So the Star Wars Galactic Starcruiser will take Walt Disney World Resort guests to a galaxy far, far away. So this is I feel like hotel is the wrong word.
It's a cruise.
But it's an on-land cruise.
In space
and
cruise.
It's a 3-day, 2-night experience. You cannot do it for any shorter length of time. I don't know if you could maybe kind of back-to-back book reservations, or it's literally just you do your time, get out.
I think you should probably just do your time, because I have a feeling every experience is going to go along the same sort of lines. Yeah. So I don't think it would be that fun if you did it back-to-back.
Yeah. So they've released a lot of information about this. And they've also released some like fun facts about it, which I love a fun fact. So some of the fun facts are the windows of the Helicon, which is the name of the ship, including those in each cabin, has a view of the galaxy beyond, with ever-changing vistas as the ship progresses from place to place. So there are, to quote the Haunted Mansion, there are no windows and no doors.
Ooh.
So everything is screens to show you that you're in space.
That's pretty cool.
Basically.
I can see myself if I went to this, I'd just start crying.
I feel like you wouldn't want to go to this if you're claustrophobic.
Claustrophobic? No. Actually, yeah, no. Because you wouldn't have any daylight.
Yeah, exactly. So you'll be able to explore the Helicon and perhaps discover hidden spaces deep in the mechanics of the ship, perfect for uncovering secrets or holding secret meetings. So I'd imagine you'd just be able to go and have a bit of a wild goose chase. And it also says choices made during your adventure will determine how your Star Wars story progresses. So kind of similar to however you do on Smuggler's Run will affect how some of the cast interact with you. So if you do a terrible job of piloting, they might not be quite so nice to you if you wreck the Millennium Falcon.
Yeah, it's very exciting.
But there is a load of information on this. I can only imagine how expensive this is going to be.
They've not released any prices or dates or
no.
anything. They've just gotten people excited.
Exactly. And I mean, don't get me wrong, if I had the money, however much this is, and I was able to afford to, I absolutely would, because I think it would be great. And you cannot get more immersive than that. But it sounds intense, and I'm intrigued to see what this actually looks like. No doubt the desert will be there whenever it does open. So I'm intrigued, and it sounds very exciting and very unique. I don't know of anywhere else that does something like this. So good job, Disney.
This is something that I'm going to be extremely interested to see how it turns out, because obviously Disney, in terms of both staging and I guess immersion as regards to their character worlds, this is an entire step beyond for that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Depending on how necessarily it goes, and I'm going to guess that they wouldn't even be remotely exploring the idea, let alone for a very premium price we could all imagine, unless they had a fairly good idea about how well this was going to work. Because if you're going to be charging families up to most likely tens of thousands of dollars, you are going to have to make sure that you have everything down to the letter. And based on that, again, as you just said, if we were both in a position to afford this, I would do this in a heartbeat.
Because I think I think you're either expected to bring Jedi robes, or they provide you with Jedi robes. So I think you actually even have to dress a certain way when you're on it.
Brilliant.
I think there is a dress code.
Yeah,
which I fully love.
Yeah, well, I was talking to Breff about it. I was like, it doesn't mention if you're given robes or if you have to wear robes, because surely if you wore your normie clothes, it wouldn't make sense, because you hop in your little pod, you jettison off to the Starcruiser, and then you also have a port day in Batuu. So you can't walk out into Batuu in normal clothes. You can't stop off on your cruise, because it won't make any sense. So that's
true.
So exciting.
Yeah, I'm very intrigued to see what this actually looks like.
And also just the final little thing on your port day in Batuu, whether you're a child or an adult, you get to learn how to use a lightsaber.
Very exciting.
Yeah. So the way they only have Jedi Academy, and Jedi Academy isn't it for no one over the age of 14? Well, suck it. I'm gonna learn how to use a lightsaber. I don't care what anyone says.
Yes.
So yeah, that was everything for Star Wars Galactic Starcruiser, which sounds super fun. Then moving on to actual more new news. It's like they put all the new news at the end. There's going to be 3 new cruise ships this year for Disney Cruise Lines. We've only learnt of one, and it's called the Disney Wish. And
I don't know why we didn't think of this when we were talking about, I wonder what they'll be called. How did we not think of this?
What, the Wish?
Yeah, it's so obvious.
Yeah, I know, yeah. Considering everything this year has been named Magic Happens and Magical Dreams and Wish was obviously just the next thing to come. So the whole statue for the Disney's Wish is going to be Rapunzel and Pascal. Who's excited? Me! So Rapunzel is the main woman on the Disney Wish. There's also going to be 2 more Disney Cruise Line ships that have yet to be announced, but man, they are really building up their Disney Cruise Line.
Well, they've announced a new island as well, haven't they?
What's the word I'm looking for here? Team? No. School? No. Fleet. So thanks, Brad. Fleet. They're really building up their fleet here. Yes, they've also announced a new island with Lighthouse Point out in the Bahamas, I believe. Which,
I mean, I was already pining to go to Castaway Cay, but now I'm now you have 2 islands. Well, now I just need to somehow win the lotto and go to both.
I'm sorry, I clearly need to go on the ship with Rapunzel.
Obviously.
There's just no question about it. Yes, the only thing I've heard about from Lighthouse Point is that the locals aren't very happy.
Oh, really?
Yeah, apparently they are pissed that there's going to be a Disney cruise there basically every day of the year. I don't think they're too joyed about it. But other than that, yeah, we'll see how it goes, I suppose. I mean, it's bringing jobs to the island, but I can understand where if you've lived there all your life and now all of a sudden it's going to be full like full of annoying tourists every day,
Yeah.
then I can see why you'd be annoyed. But yeah, so that's Lighthouse Point and the Disney Wish, and they've said that they might possibly, like, all these 3 new Disney cruise ships are going to be designed completely differently to the other ones.
Oh,
Yeah, so
interesting.
I think they were saying that the Wish doesn't look like the other ones on the inside. So
Okay, cool.
they were like, oh, are the other 2 new ones also going to be different as well? But I guess we'll just have to wait and see.
I mean, the concept art that they showed did look, I mean, all of the Disney cruises are absolutely obnoxiously stunning,
Yeah,
but this one looks phenomenal.
yeah, I'm very excited for obvious reasons. So yeah, that's Disney Cruise Lines.
The next thing that I want to chat about, it's not something that I think was necessarily announced at D23, but it is, I saw this online. So they have announced that Fantasmic at Tokyo Disney Sea is going to be closing. So on Wednesday, the 25th of March, 2020, that is the final showing of Fantasmic in Tokyo Disney Sea.
Oh.
But seemingly all the technology and all that kind of stuff has already been sold to a different park. And it's been sold to a park that is building a rather large lake.
Oh my God!
seemingly.
Are we gonna get in Disneyland Paris? Are we gonna get it?
I think Kate's
This is
excited.
why I wanted your live reaction.
That's so exciting!
Now, again, this was just someone tweeted saying, oh my God, I can't believe that Fantasmic in Tokyo Disney Sea is closing. What the hell? And someone replied saying, yeah, rumor is that the equipment has already been sold to a certain park that may or may not be getting a new lake sometime soon. ...
Yes, Fantasmic in Paris.
So,
Yes.
I didn't, because like I assumed, because they have said that the lake that Walt Disney Studios is getting is going to be absolutely freaking massive.
As big as a
And that
boat,
there will
perhaps.
be nighttime spectacular ready and all that kind of stuff. I assumed we were going to get something like World of Colour. It didn't even enter my head that we would get Fantasmic.
Dun,
Because
dun,
I was just
dun,
like-
dun, 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 dun. See how excited I am?
Another thing, which I've just remembered,
Uh-huh.
there was just so much Disney news. Seemingly, some of the details that people have been hearing is like rumblings with to do with the expansion of Disney Village. Is
Rumblies in my tumblies.
rumblings and my tumblers? Is that Lake Disney might get filled in order to expand the village.
Stop.
And again, I don't know if this is true. This is just what I've been like seeing online between the frenzy of everything else that's happened in the past week. But seemingly, some people have said that there are rumors that they're going to completely redo Disney Village. It's all going to get a complete facelift. And in order to expand it, the lake is going to get filled in, and that's going to expand out into more shops and restaurants.
I mean, to be fair, the lake does fuck all.
What are you talking about? You can go up in the big balloon and you have to walk around it.
The lake does fuck all except make things less accessible.
But yeah, like imagine staying in Sequoia Lodge or anything like that and having
being able to
shops
walk.
go right to that edge.
This is exciting,
Yeah.
guys.
So I don't know if any of that is confirmed. These are all just rumors that I have heard. But if Disneyland Paris does get Fantasmic, your girl's going to be very pleased.
Look, we're over 80% sure the Fantasmic is coming to Disneyland Paris.
It's gone from, here's a rumor that I thought it's 80% confirmed.
Well, where else was it? Where else could it go? Because they can't sell it to a park that isn't Disney. It has to be a Disney park because it's a Disney licensed thing. So, and everywhere else has Fantasmic already. So it has to be Disneyland Paris. And I remember,
Which would be super exciting.
because remember the concept art had a boat on it, and I was like, "Oh, cool! We're going to be able to go on a boat." And you were like, "No, guests are going to be able to go on the boat." Guess what goes? Guess what else has a boat? Fantasmic.
Yeah, it does.
Everything just leads to Fantasmic.
That's why I wanted to leave that to get your live reaction, because I knew it would be hilarious.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last little bibbidi bop that came out of D23 was that they're going to be opening Disney stores within Targets in the US of A. So from what I can... Oh, sorry, go on.
It's bizarre because, do you know what the last main name brand store they opened a Disney store in was?
I don't understand your point, but continue.
Harrods. So the last time Disney decided they were going to open a Disney store within an already established store was Harrods.
And it's closed.
Which failed massively. So they've gone from Harrods to Target.
Yeah, so I'm wondering, so they're starting off with 25 locations and they're going to move on to another 40, I believe. Yeah, by October 2020, they're going to expand to another 40 stores. So they're going to be selling all of the Disney Store merch, like stuff that you can only buy in Disney Store, so Disney Store branded stuff, including the Animator Collection, which has always prided itself in being a Disney Store exclusive item that you cannot purchase anywhere else.
I find this really bizarre.
Sorry, go on, yeah.
Within the last couple of years, it was the 30th anniversary of the Disney stores in 2017, wasn't it?
Yes.
And myself and Kate, and I'm sure anyone else who's listening to this that was a Disney Store cast member, got added into this like Facebook group to kind of celebrate the 30 years of Disney Store.
Yep.
And no joke, on a weekly basis, there are people in there saying how sad they are that their store is closing, and they've worked there for like bloody hundreds of years and whatnot.
Over 30 years, some of them. They're absolutely mental.
Exactly. And it's kind of like, it's really sad that they're closing their stores to just put them into a chain. Because, I mean, I get it to a degree, because it means that, like, the Target stores are already there. They're not having to pay to rent its own space. And I imagine it's probably going to look similar. I mean, the concept art looks cool, but I imagine it'll kind of be a slightly more enhanced version of, like, pop-up stores that they've been doing.
That's literally what I wrote down, yeah.
But, like, it's just... From the time that I started in Disney, and this is kind of pointless information for most people, but we worked in what's called an imagination store.
Yes.
And on my first day, I was walked around the store and I was shown all the different features and the stuff that would show up on the trees, and how to do these things called fly paths, where you could make Buzz Lightyear and Tinkerbell show up on the wall. It's kind of an extra bit of magic for guests. And the mirrors in the princess room and all this kind of extra stuff that was supposed to spark a kid's imagination, or spark anyone's imagination really. And all of that has been taken out of the store. They don't leave the trees on because it costs too much money and all this kind of stuff to just save money. And now they're just closing stores and opening them in Target. And it's just kind of like Disney Store and like Disney Store products. The whole thing was the kind of prestige of it, and it being a Disney store, not just being Disney products or somewhere where you could buy Disney stuff. So as an ex-cast member, I'm not pleased.
Yeah, and I was just thinking, I understand that like Magic Touch in Europe is definitely viewed differently than Magic Touch in the US stores.
Do you want to just explain what Magic Touch is, just for anyone that doesn't know?
So Magic Touch is basically, if anyone's ever worked in retail, you'll know of secret shoppers. So secret shoppers are someone who comes into your store and they basically evaluate your customer service, pretty much. In a lot of regular retail stores, it's basically, did they say hi? Did they help you? Blah, blah, blah. But Magic Touch in a Disney store is to a very high standard. So Magic Touch includes, you got to greet the guest, you got to ask the guest who they're shopping for, you got to use open questions, you got to make sure you got to go with whatever they're purchasing. So if they're buying a dress, did you tell them, or did you say, oh, these shoes go with this item? Did you give them a fact? Did you enhance storytelling? And then when they get to the till, did you offer them a talk-up, which would be a box or a shopper or gift wrapping or anything like that? So you had to hit and base, and even just like the general look of the store. So were all the shelves full? Was the floor tidy? Did all the cast members look happy? Was everyone wearing their name badge? All of that basic stuff that Disney stores are expected to have, which in our store especially was baked into us. Like, we knew it back to front, inside out. I know that certain stores in Europe didn't necessarily have such a high standard, but I know also, again, in a lot of the US stores, from what I've heard, Magic Touch isn't the same over there as to what it is here. But still, I understand that a lot of the cast members in Disney stores in the US are crazy and they love their jobs and they just want to deliver the highest standard of service under the Disney name. But if you're putting the Disney store into Target, is it just Target staff members that are working there? Like, is it manned by Disney store employees, or is it literally just a section of Target that has Disney store toys and they've just completely stripped it of all of that literal Magic Touch that you receive when you are in a conversation with a cast member in a Disney store?
So there's a couple of things that I'm reminded of here. So when I started working in retail, which was 11 years ago, I worked for Hamleys when they opened up their first Irish store in Dundrum. Now, when it opened up originally, very similar to you guys with Magic Touch and the general attitude towards guest service that the Disney store has, the original concept behind the Hamley store in Dundrum was a very similar standard of service, and more specifically kind of cultivating a very specific atmosphere and a very specific attitude of behavior. So the second that you walked in the door, not only did you get greeted by someone, you got greeted by someone in a toy soldier outfit who was blowing bubbles at you.
Oh, I remember that.
And that was all well and good, and initially there was a fantastic atmosphere there. However, there was also another little part of the store where there was a concession for a very well-known video game retailer at the time. And that concession, which is how these Disney stores are going to be handled in Target, was very weirdly positioned. You would have no idea it was there. It was kind of up. It was up an escalator and to the right. And you could only really see it if it was there. And it didn't have a particularly huge range. It had sort of separate staff. It had separate... Attitudes, definitely, yes. And I think that's a huge part of it. Now, the concession for this particular retailer did not last very long. It actually managed to close down before that particular retailer stopped operating here.
Oh.
And it just created this weird division. Now, granted, there are ways that you can handle that relationship. So, for example, a typical Target employee, I wouldn't imagine, is also going to be trained up to a Disney standard.
Absolutely not. I can think.
Can I just butt in here? Just from what Disney did when they opened up in Harrods, one of the managers that I used to work under in Disney, she went and was the assistant manager in the Harrods store. So everyone that worked there was a Disney cast member and they were employed by Disney. They had, it's kind of like working in a department store. So it's like when Amy used to work in Gap. She was a Gap employee. She just happened to work in Ernest, just as an example. So I would assume they might run it the same where they are Disney store cast members. They just happen to work in a Target store.
And that does make sense. My concern, however, is that if you have things operating like a department store where there's a whole bunch of different concessions, then it actually kind of helps the individual concessions because you expect kind of a different ecosystem and...
They've all got their own brand.
Exactly, and a different standard of service. The issue that you run into when you have either one or two concessions inside a store that's a much bigger brand overall is it's very sort of cognitively separate. So a big concern that I would have here is I think that a lot of the targets that are getting Disney stores, those Disney stores are going to live and die by their physical location relative within that store. Because had the concession that existed in Hamleys been better physically presented and in a better place, it would have done much better and it would have felt like it was adding to the whole experience. Now, as an extension of that, you also have the fact that Hamleys overall lasted 10 years, but realistically it should have only lasted one. Because as soon as things like being overly budget conscious when you are trying to foster a very specific, very tailored and very signature style of service, the second you start kind of eating into the budget of that, you start eating into staffing numbers, you start eating into the number of people and ways to facilitate giving that kind of service. So I would have major concerns over how tight belts get on that one.
Yeah. Absolutely, because as I said, the difference in even just the Disney store in Dublin from when I started in 2012 to the way it is now is chalk and cheese.
I just remember when it all happened in one go, where they were like, okay, this isn't going to work anymore. We're not doing this anymore. This we don't really need to focus on anymore. And I was like, I don't know what we are now. Because now we just sound like a regular retail.
Yeah, because when's the last time you ever heard of anyone doing an imagination explosion?
Oh, man, that was a sad time.
Do the cast members there even know what that is now? And that was such a staple.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. They've started something new, which is basically cast member... What's it called? Do you know, when cast compliment, but you can give them to each other about things, but that's the
we had that in the store before, didn't we? And you could win a pin or something like that.
Yeah, but they've re-envisioned it or something. But basically, I don't know. It still sounds like rubbish. And the trees, they've just shot green onto, so it's now this really bright green light that just shots onto the trees. So they're not magical anymore. They're just trees.
I used to love the trees, and on May the 4th, and all the X-Wings would be flying across it. Oh.
Yeah. Yes, Breffney?
It makes me so sad.
Speaking as an outsider, so someone who obviously never worked for Disney, the Disney store now versus the Disney store when it originally opened in Dublin.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Originally, it felt like a Disney store. Now it feels like a Disney outlet.
Oh, the shade.
Oh.
If I want to get Disney merchandise, I know to go there.
That's
fair,
where
it's available.
Yeah.
I don't go there for, oh man, this is going to be great.
Yeah, you don't go there to be
it's not the experience.
Yeah, I agree. So I think we should, because we could all talk for hours about retail.
Absolutely.
You know who sucks? Customers.
So that's Disney stores entering into Target, and I think this is definitely something that we'll 100% come back to as soon as they start actually rolling out into Targets and we get some customer feedback from customers in the US.
Yeah, because obviously this is something that me and Kate are very intrigued about, being ex-Disney Store cast members. So yeah, I think that's all for the Parks and Resorts news. Kate, what were your overall thoughts of D23 Expo 2019?
It seemed like a lot went on and it was extremely busy, but I think it was a pretty blasé D23. Nothing 100% stood out to me from what I saw on social media. Something I saw a lot of was the costuming booth they had. That was like previous Disney costumes, which I'm sure were pretty cool, but I don't think I'd like to spend thousands of dollars just to go in to see costumes, if that makes any sense.
I mean, don't get me wrong, they had the original Sanders Sister costumes, and I would 1000% want to go see them.
Oh yeah, and they had an original Mary Poppins costume as well, but still I feel like I'd be like but I don't know, it seemed pretty cool, but again, the lines for stuff were just absolutely outrageous. Even if you watch the Tim Tracker vlog that came out today or last night, whenever it was, he was looking at the queue to get into one of the stores. It wasn't the Dream Store, it was some other store.
The Mickey's of Glendale.
That's the one. And he said that he knew that there was one thing for definite he wanted in there because he'd seen it on Twitter, but he was like, this queue is like 2.5 hours long. He was like, have all the people in this queue seen what's in the shop, or are they just queuing in hopes of seeing something? Which is mind-boggling to me.
Yeah, because I know, and we'll come on to merchandise in a bit, but a friend of the show, Meg, was there, and there was a very particular thing that I wanted, and she was like, yeah, sure, if I see it, absolutely. The queue for merchandise is currently 4 hours long. And I was like, holy crap.
Yeah, because I remember you saw it. Well, we might as well talk about it now because I think merchandise sort of rounds up into it as well. It was the skeleton spirit jersey.
Yeah. So
go on.
As I mentioned, me and Kate got added into this Disney Store cast member Facebook group. And one of the guys, is his name John Paul Story or something like that?
Jonathan Story, that's
who it is. And he's quite high up in the Disney Store. He is part of his Facebook group, and he will occasionally post like new things that are coming to the stores, merchandise, stuff like that.
So lovely.
Everyone that has ever met him always says he's absolutely lovely.
Yeah.
But he was posting some of the setup for the merchandise at D23. And I won't lie, because I wasn't going, I didn't really pay a whole lot of attention to the merchandise that was coming out.
Yeah, I tried to stay away from all merchandise because I knew if there was something I saw that I wanted, I'd be really upset that I couldn't get it.
Exactly. So I was just kind of flicking through, just having a look. And then I saw this one particular picture. So the Silly Symphonies set of shorts that Disney did back in the late 20s, early 30s.
Back in the day. My absolute favourite of those, unsurprising to anybody, is the Skeleton Dance. And the Skeleton Dance this August turns 90 years old. And for anyone that doesn't know, I have a tattoo of the dancing skeletons on my right arm. I absolutely love them. And for D23, they came out with, I think they called it the Disney Legacy Collection. And it was a whole collection for the Skeleton Dance. There was a t-shirt, there was a tote bag, there was a mug, there was a spirit jersey, and I think there was something else. And let me tell you, everyone was asleep when I figured out this. Because I was up in the middle of the night editing last week's episode and freaking the F out. And I saw the spirit jersey. So it's just black spirit jersey. It has the owl and says the Skeleton Dance on the front. It has the little dancing skeleton pals down the arms. And on the back it says Disney's Silly Symphonies and the Skeleton Dance underneath it. And I was losing my goddamn mind. I was going onto eBay to see if anybody had it up yet. I was posting on Reddit to see if anybody would buy it from me. I was posting it on Twitter. Thank you to absolutely anyone who shares what I posted on Twitter, because a lot of people liked and retweeted it, which I was very thankful for. And I messaged Meg, who was at D23, and just kind of said, if by any chance you see the spirit jersey in any of the variants of sizes, because I honestly wouldn't have cared, can you pick it up for me? And as Bethany can confirm, I got a very lovely message from her at 3 a.m. Now I didn't see it until 5, saying that she had acquired said spirit jersey, and I lost my goddamn mind and woke Bethany up at 5 o'clock to tell him that I got a spirit jersey.
Yes, you did.
I'm so glad I put my phone far, far away when I go to bed.
That was a good call.
Because I woke up to the very first thing I saw was Kate in big capital letters, and I was like, oh shit. I was like, what has happened?
What happened now?
But yeah, so that was basically the massive height of the merch. There was a lot of merch there, a lot of Dooney and Burks, a lot of collectibles, a lot of Mickey Mouse stuff. There was a whole
Dapper Dan stuff.
A whole Dapper Dan collection that I don't want to talk about because I didn't buy any of it. But yeah, the merchandise seemed pretty standard for D23. Like there was a lot of cool exclusive merchandise, but it was also extremely expensive. But again, that's what to be expected from,
in fairness,
D23.
And I don't know whether if Meg got cast member discount on it, but the Spirit jersey was $56.
I think they were $56.95 on the ticket.
So I mean that's cheaper than it, because normally they're $65, if not, I think even a little bit more expensive now. So
fair.
that actually wasn't too bad. I can't speak to anything else, but my Spirit jersey wasn't too expensive.
Okay. But yeah, that's just my overall opinion of D23. It just seems extremely busy. I think that I wouldn't like to go. I think there's too many people and I don't really fancy queuing for as long as people do queue. Well, the person who was there with Megan was my friend Peta, and Peta posted a thing on their Instagram that was like the realities of D23, and it was Peta and Megan just sitting on the floor waiting for a panel.
Yeah, and to be honest, as much as I get quite excited around D23 and I like hearing all the updates and watching the panels and stuff like that, I personally don't think I could actually mentally handle it, because it is just a lot. And I saw many people online that paid absolutely thousands to be there, to get in, buying merchandise, all this kind of stuff, and didn't get into a single panel.
Yeah, people got in just to be on the floor.
Yeah, and seemingly different queues were being let in at different times, which meant that people who should have got in didn't get in and all this kind of stuff. And it seemed like a bit of a logistical nightmare. And I'm quite happy to watch from afar, and I'm quite happy to just watch the updates come through from E22 and the Diz and Disney Parks blog, and just keep up to date with those from the comfort of my home. However, I will say, purely for the fact that I managed to get a Spirit jersey, I'm very happy that I knew someone that was there that was willing to get it for me.
Yeah, I think we're always pretty happy to know people that are at these things, but don't necessarily need to go ourselves.
Yeah,
I agree. If anybody's interested, I'd highly suggest hopping on over to the Tim Tracker. Tim Tracker, it was his first time at D23, so we get to see a very new perspective on it as someone who's into Disney but has also never been to D23. And so far I've only seen the first vlog, because as of recording and being on the internet, that's the only one he's released, and he is overwhelmed. And that's someone who goes to all the media events and is very in with Disney and very in with Universal, and would go to Halloween Horror Nights and everything like that. And he said that it's extremely overwhelming. When he first came in, he was redirected 3 times before he actually got to where he needed to be to. What? You understood my sentence. So yeah, it just seems like an extremely overwhelming time. And another person on Instagram we saw spent $5,500 from their whole time at D23, and I'm like, absolutely not.
Yeah. And I mean, if you just want to know and catch up on literally everything that happened from D23, I was trying to put it into perspective for Breffney yesterday. If you go onto the Diz, not the Diz Unplugged, just the Diz YouTube page, no joke, across the weekend, I would say they've released probably about 75 videos.
Oh yeah, there's so much. There's so much content.
So
you don't need to be there to find out what happens.
All of your, and they filmed all of the panels and stuff like that. They generally get into kind of your top tier media bit, because they are one of the biggest Disney sites. So if you want to know and watch literally every second that happens, the Diz is where you need to go. But yeah.
And if there's I'd say if there's ever any merchandise that you specifically want in D23, I'd just try and find a personal shopper before D23 starts, and they could probably help you out with it if there was something very in particular that you wanted to buy.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's pretty much everything we have to say. Any more news about D23? Anybody? Any more who says, what here says, what says?
No, I think that's everything.
Amazing. Super. Thanks so much for listening, guys. It's been a long one, but I think it's been quite an interesting one.
It's been a fun show.
Thanks, Breffney.
It has indeed. Yeah, thank you very much, Breffney. Breffney is mercifully going to, he's not only facilitated and been very hospitable towards Kate, I can only imagine. but he's also going to edit this episode. So massive shout out to Breckney. If you want to hear more from him, you can check him out on the Intercontinental Breakfast
with
our
himself
Lovely Sister
and
podcast.
Nathan Charlesworth.
The finest Irish wrestling podcast you can find on transistor.fm.
Wee.
There we go.
So yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Thanks so much for listening, guys. We really appreciate it. Quick little thank you to say that this podcast is not sponsored. We don't get sponsors for it. So if you could give it a share, especially this one, because this one's a nice little introduction to D23, and anyone who likes to travel to work and listen to Disney stuff, get your D23 news here.
Exactly. And as we always say, check us out on Instagram at Mickey Waffles Pod. We didn't do our usual question thing this week just because we would not have had time to. Busy. But let us know your thoughts. What announcement from D23 are you most excited for?
Yeah, so hit us up on Insta.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great.
Thanks very much for listening, guys. And we will chat to you next week for Disney Plus and movies.
Fab. Thanks so much, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Good morning.